If your cucumbers have suddenly stopped growing, gone quiet in the middle of the season, and stopped setting fruit, the season is almost never over, and 2 cheap fixes will bring them roaring back. Before I get into it, if you want a harvest that actually pays you back, subscribe and stay with me. It genuinely helps. And if your cucumbers have gone all leaf and no fruit, you are about to fix that today. You know the feeling. For weeks, the plant was handing you cucumbers faster than you could eat them. Then, almost overnight, nothing. The vine still looks wonderful. Big green leaves climbing happily up the string, reaching for the top of the greenhouse. But the new cucumbers coming off it are tiny, curling, going soft, dropping off the stem before they ever swell. You turn a leaf over hoping to find one hiding underneath, and there is nothing there. And right about now, in the middle of summer, you start thinking about pulling the whole thing out and giving up. Don't. Not yet. 9 times out of 10, a cucumber that stalls like this is not finished. It is one of 2 things, and both are fixable today at the base of the plant, with something that costs about the price of a coffee. One is starved roots. The other is cold, uneven watering. Sort the right one and you will still be picking in autumn, long after the neighbor has ripped their vine out and given up. We start by working out which one is yours, and we start with the roots. Here is the tell. If your plant is all leaf and no fruit, big and lush and green, growing like mad but setting almost nothing, or if it is throwing yellowing lower leaves down at the base while the top keeps on climbing, then your soil has almost certainly run out of potassium. Go and look at your plant right now. Is it throwing tiny curling cucumbers off a big green vine? Then this is exactly your problem, and here is why it happens. A cucumber is essentially a potassium machine. That is the thing to understand. Every single fruit you carry into the kitchen carries potassium out of that soil with it, locked up inside the cucumber, gone for good. And you have been picking for weeks, fruit after fruit after fruit, each one draining the tank a little more. After all that heavy fruiting, the tank is empty. But the plant does not stop. There is still nitrogen in that soil, and nitrogen builds leaf, so the plant keeps doing the one thing it still can, throwing out big green leaves, while it has nothing left to build a single cucumber with. All that growth you are looking at is the plant running on the wrong fuel. So the fix is simple. It has spent every bit of potassium out through the fruit you already picked. You give it back the exact thing it has spent. But there is a right way to do that and a wrong way, and there is one popular so-called fix that everyone tries first, and it does absolutely nothing. Potassium. That is the whole thing your tired vine is crying out for, and giving it back is cheaper and simpler than anyone selling you a gadget wants you to believe. But before I hand you the recipe, let me clear the nonsense off the table. You will have seen people pushing cloves into the soil next to their cucumbers. You will have seen someone drop a little mystery tablet into a liter of water and swear it doubles the harvest. It does nothing. Neither of them does a single thing for a starved cucumber plant. They are stories, not science, and you have probably wasted good money on them. Here is what actually replaces what the fruit carried away. 1 tablespoon of sulfate of potash in 5 liters of water. Stir it until it dissolves. Then pour it once a fortnight. Straight to the roots, not on the leaves. That is it. That is the feed. Remember, a cucumber is a potassium machine. Every fruit you carry to the kitchen empties the tank a little more, and this puts back exactly what it spent. 2 cautions, because they matter. Keep it off the leaves. The roots are where it needs to go, and wet leaves in a warm greenhouse only invite trouble. And do not be tempted to give it more often, thinking more is better. It is not. Overdoing it locks up magnesium in the soil, and then you have swapped one problem for a worse one. Yellowing between the veins, a plant fighting itself. Once a fortnight, straight to the roots. That is the rhythm. No sulfate of potash in the shed? Do not let that stop you today. A well-diluted tomato feed does the same job. It is built for exactly this. A hungry, fruiting plant that needs potassium, not more leaf. Mix it weaker than the bottle says for a cucumber, and give it on that same fortnightly beat. Now be honest with yourself about the timing. This is not a 6-hour miracle, whatever the other channels promise. You feed it today, you will not walk out tomorrow to a basket of cucumbers. What you will see is fresh flowers within a week to 10 days, and behind those flowers, small cucumbers starting to swell again instead of curling and dropping. That is the plant switching back on. Give it that week. While it works, do me a small favor. Tell me in the comments which crop keeps letting you down every single year. Cucumbers, tomatoes, something else. I read them. And if straight, honest growing is what you have been after, take a second to subscribe. It genuinely helps a grower like me keep making these. Right, back to it. Because here is the part that catches almost everyone. You can get that feed exactly right. The potash, the dilution, the fortnight, and the vine can still stall on you. Still pause. Still hand you a bitter curling cucumber instead of a good one. If you have been dropping a mystery tablet in a watering can, stop and do this instead. There is a second mistake, quieter than the first, and nearly everyone makes it. It is not what you feed your cucumbers. It is how you are watering them. Not the feed, the water. Here is the mistake almost everyone makes. You come home tired, you grab the hose or the can, and you give the plants a quick splash every evening. Cold water, straight from the tap, right onto the surface. It looks like you have watered. You have not. That fast splash wets the top inch and runs off, and the icy shock hits the roots like a slap. Meanwhile, the deep soil, where the roots that actually feed the fruit are living, stays bone dry, and that is what quietly ruins your crop. A cucumber is basically water with a bit of green around it. Cucumbers are 96% water. That is why they are so crisp, and that is why they are so fussy about how they get it. They do not want a little dribble every day. They want it steady. When the moisture swings up and down, soaked one evening, dry the next afternoon, cold, warm, cold again, the plant reads it as stress. And a stressed cucumber does two things. It spikes the bitter compounds in the fruit to protect itself, and it pauses. It drops the young cucumbers it was carrying so it can survive whatever it thinks is coming. Erratic moisture spikes the bitter compounds and makes the plant stall. That is the whole ugly mechanism right there. If your cucumbers have been turning bitter on you, this is exactly why. And it is not the variety. It is the watering. So here is the fix. Fill your can or a bucket and leave it standing in the sun for a few hours before you use it. Water left to stand so it is not icy, roughly the temperature of the soil, so it never shocks the roots. Then give the plant a deep, warm, steady soak every 2 to 3 days at the base, not on the leaves. Enough that it sinks right down and reaches the deep roots, not just the top crust. Slow. Let it pool and go down. That one long drink does more than a week of little splashes. Then mulch. A layer of straw or bark laid over the soil around the stem, a couple of inches thick. That holds the moisture in the ground between soaks, keeps the temperature even, and stops the sun baking it dry by lunchtime. The mulch is what makes the steady last, and that is the rule that ties the whole thing together. Steady beats frequent. A big warm soak every few days will always beat a little cold splash every day. Always. Now put the two fixes side by side. Feed back the potassium the fruit carried out, 1 tablespoon of potash in 5 liters, to the roots once a fortnight. And water it deep and warm and steady, mulched over, every 2 or 3 days. Do both, and the vine that had gone silent on you in midsummer wakes up. Fresh flowers first, then little cucumbers swelling behind them. It roars back. That is the do this now the whole thing turns on. It costs about the price of a coffee and takes 1 minute. That is it. And it is the difference between a sad handful now and a glut you are begging the neighbors to take well into autumn, long after everyone down the road has given up and pulled their vines out. Go and give your vine both of these today, and watch what it hands you by next week.